Hi, it's me, Edison, and welcome to Films Reactive. You're watching the finale of The Eclipse, which is episode 12. Last week was really interesting. We're at the finale, it's the last episode. I feel like things took their time, but it finally got somewhere. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding Tua, the character Tua, and what he did. Ultimately, as we know, I'm on Tua's side. I did a whole post about it on Reddit, defending Tua. And I just thought I'd recap my thoughts in case I left anything out. But I think the story wants us to see Tua as an anti-hero. And I have a problem with everyone getting stuck on Tua's actions not being justified just because he outed the relationship. And just for me, I disagree with a lot of the sentimentalities around how Tua is ultimately in the wrong because he outed our and first relationship just because that's where the focus of everyone's feelings are. And it doesn't really look at the bigger picture. And I guess I'll go into why I don't really see it as a big of a deal. I mean, obviously, it's great that people are activists and aware that outing is not okay. People always should have the right to choose when to come out, and only when they're ready. And so it's wrong to deprive people of that choice. But in saying that, for me, I see it as sort of a spectrum of morality in terms of like how bad the repercussions are. And so that's sort of like outing someone in a place where it won't have any consequences on their mental health or anything like that is a dick move, but it's not as bad as outing somebody in an environment where it can cause danger to your life. And so the principle of outing, I see it as different segmentations. And so people, knowing about the environment, yes, the school is homophobic, but nobody is outright bullying as far as I remember. It's all just whispers, rumors. People are bullying the Jums because they're, disturbing the peace and troublemakers. And they're having slurs used against them because that's who they are. Like, that's just so much uproar around the outing of Ark that the good intentions that people have are just drowning out or like just overriding the other messages in the show. And also, I don't think it's important in the grand scheme of things because Ark isn't affected by it personally. In a lot of Thai shows, outing someone is obviously wrong and dramatic, but people are never despairing or in agony or like worrying about their sexuality coming to light. It's always been about being perceived in that relationship with somebody who you're an enemy with, and so that it might hinder your reputation. So in this show, they're keeping the relationship a secret because it'll affect the prefect reputation if I and Ark are dating, because I is a bit more of a scoundrel. And so that reflects badly on Ark. I don't necessarily think it's been ever I don't want people to find out I'm queer situation. And so even after outing and all the things that happened after that, he never showed signs that it was a big deal to him. And so if he doesn't, I don't think we should. In saying that, I do understand that people have blanket moralities and they apply things to everything. But I think we just need to look at the nuances of stuff. And because the director is a trans politician, I don't think they intended the whole episode to just be about Tua outing the couple. Tua had to out them because he knew that I was going to defend back. And so for me, I think Tua had some sort of justification in calling out I's hypocrisy because I was the one who chastised him earlier, as someone else said in my comments, that he was someone who was like, inaction is just as bad as being part of the oppressors. And so I get why Tua would be like, you don't have the right to, shut me up. Like, your relationship with one of the perpetrators of the curse is hypocritical because don't you see the amount of damage it's doing to the Jums? I think the only bad thing in my head that Tua did was perpetuate and cause more damage to the Jums. But then there was this scene where Tua was like shaken up because he could see the effect that it had. And that's when Khan had to reassure him that, things were okay. And so you do things logically, but you don't really grasp the emotional impacts of things. Ultimately, the story is trying to say that Tua is some sort of anti-hero. And for political shows, you want to tell all your themes and show people who have gone through inaction to, doing something, but then also showing the costs of creating change sometimes, and it's not always neat. And part of why the whole discussion about Tua being in the wrong irks me is because I'm not saying that it's the same school of thought, but it's very similar to people who are upset about civil disobedience in terms of like the Black Lives Matters movement, and you know, when there was looting happening, when people focused on the looting, nobody was focused back on the purpose of the movement, which was that justice was not being served to a certain demographic. And it's frustrating that people enacting justice have to do it perfectly and that you put them on a high pedestal. And I think Tua is allowed to make mistakes and allowed to do things in his own way and mess up. And there could have been, I guess, more strategic ways in which he could have consulted Ak and I. But that's just a fantasy. Like, the drama happened the way because it was dramatic. And in the end, the biggest picture is that the Joms, they were ostracized for being cursed. And you know, the curse was this sort of divine power that people were looking to know who was right and who was morally wrong. And so if you were cursed, you were kind of like a leper or whatever. And people were against you because they knew that you were morally incorrect, you know? And so having that reputation and then never really finding, you know, in the end, who was behind all that, you know, that was seemingly the way the story was going because I was very protective of Ak. You know, it's a complicated situation because the story positions you to empathize with Ak a lot. And I'm not saying anybody is the villain except for the system and nobody deserves to be punished. But like, in the end, Ak's not the only person suffering. The Jums are also suffering. And so them not ever knowing or not knowing the truth behind the curse and then also the teachers using it as justification, like the whole system needed to be brought to light. Ultimately, that's really what they needed. And so I think Tua was the only one who could do that. Like he lost his way for love. And like, fair enough. It was just taking too long for the episodes. Like we weren't going to get there until you know, it would have been a 20 episode season if we were trying to figure things out. And not to say like there isn't importance behind mental health and stuff like that, but we don't know how this affected the Jums mental health wise. And yes, Tua exacerbated it a bit, but in the end, I think he will be held accountable for making the curse worse than it was. In terms of accountability for outing the relationship, I think that's not on the minds of the writers. Honestly, I don't think they thought it was such a morally bad thing. And I don't think they would have assumed the international audience would have jumped on Tua for this. Well, those are my sort of feelings about things right now. I was outed in high school. I told a few friends that I thought I could trust, and then the word spread. Like, in the end, it was annoying, but I could deal with it. Like, it didn't bother me that much, and I don't want people who outed me at that time to feel guilty. Like, because in the end, it wasn't a big deal for me, and I know it's different for everybody, but it just doesn't seem like as big of a deal in BL shows or Thai culture. I don't know what it is, but I know there are narratives out there where outing someone is horrendous, you know? You see it in Young Royals, like, that's terrible. But it's not the same in every situation. And so I feel like people should be able to take things on a contextualized basis. I think what we want to see this episode is reform, hoping that Tua's actions do have a result. I do hope we see that the Jums appreciate getting to know the truth and getting some sort of apology and remembering that they are also the victims in this. The last thing I wanted to just touch up upon is the Jums and Ak are equal victims in everything. And I think people have this myth that the Jums have been so queerly visible and have come out because they've chosen to. But sometimes when you're that queer, you don't get a choice to come out. People just assume you're queer. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you've chosen to come out and you're out and proud, your life is still difficult because there's still homophobia. And I think everybody sympathizing with Ak just because he hasn't come out irks me, because people who have come out, the Jums, still need your sympathy as well. And I think the best thing for them was really to get the truth. So this is my bias because I identify more with the Jums, but we can't just baby Ak. You know, I get that Fresh is the best baby girl, but everybody needs help in this situation. So yeah, let's just get to episode 12. And put this behind us. All our little disagreements. I don't know. I put my opinion out there. It's controversial, but I'm just trying not to say anything problematic.
นัดหมายผู้ปกครองของเด็กพวกนี้มาพบฉันนะได้ครับแล้วเรื่องในอัก
I even forgot to talk about Dika. Like, personally, I mean, I'm not a judge. It's not my choice to make, but I don't really blame anybody. I really needed to just kind of get an idea about the whole picture, but Dika is definitely also kind of in his own world. He's like part of the system that brainwashes you and has an iron grip on you. I mean, like, this dude graduated from high school, decided to stick with high school because he was so indebted to this system. Like, as an adult, you can do what you want. And I think he feels enough guilt that he blames himself about. Oh, sorry, I meant Shadok. I've been saying Dika. Shadok. Shadok feels so much guilt over what happened to Dika that I think that's enough punishment. I don't really hold Shadok responsible for anything that's happened. I just think he started this as a curse as a kid. I think he's been under the influence of the principal and like ultimately it's just I'm for the position of forgiving everybody. But that is also saying, you know, I am forgiving everybody because we haven't really seen the repercussions. And I think it's that sort of morality dilemma thing in terms of if Shadok did, you know, indirectly cause a death in his methods, then I don't think that's as forgivable. So yeah, okay, I wouldn't lay that much stock in my morality then. It's really hard to, you know, to figure out.
มองเชี่ยอะไรกันทำไมกูต้องมาคู่กับเด็กเนิร์ดอย่างมึงด้วยวะวันหลังมึงไม่ต้องปกป้องกูแบบนั้นอีกแล้วก็ได้นะเว้ยกูชินแล้วกูแค่ไม่อยากเห็นมึงต้องเจ็บตัวแบบนั้นอีกอะทัดผ่าน
Okay. Oh my god, I hate this storyline, like making a BL inside a BL. It's just, it really takes away from the messages of the show, I think. Because I was going to say, okay, there is some validity in people being outraged by the outing because now Ak and I have to deal with students who are homophobic, you know, even if it is just getting stared at, like that can be annoying. Still, it's not, you know, the biggest thing, but like, there is some justification there. But if it was all part of a project, then it didn't really happen. Imagine being a fan of Pawin, watching this show for him, and then him not doing anything in this series except be a red herring. I kind of want that. Whatever she's wearing as well. Is that expensive? I want a cloak. I kind of also wonder what her position is in the whole scheme of things. Politically, Sunny seems like someone who's trying to keep the order between oppressors and oppressed. And ultimately, I think the show wants you to see that she's not really doing much by taking that position. Oh, the eclipse is finally coming. You know, it would be fun if there was an actual curse or something else happened that was spooky dicky. Shadok should be the adult here and take the responsibility for them perpetuating the curse. So well, yeah, this is where I think need to see, I guess not only Shadok take responsibility, but it's such a hypocrisy for the principal to not realize that ultimately everything was caused by her pressures. So we'll see if she gets any sort of realization or blame. Yeah, I definitely think the audience is like, you big hypocrite, you're the reason.
แล้วยังคิดจะทำหนังสั้นเอาปมผิดปกติทางเพศของพวกเธอมาแฉให้โลกรับรู้เหรอเธอไม่อายนี่ผอ.ไม่ว่านะ แต่เธอกำลังจะประกาศให้โลกทั้งโลกรู้ว่าสุพโลเลือกหัวหน้านักเรียนที่ไม่สมบูรณ์แบบมาทำหน้าที่อย่างนั้น
ดิฉันว่าเรื่องทำหนังสั้น
2020 นะ
กับเรื่องรสนิยมทางเพศของนักเรียน ไม่
Homophobia
ใช่เรื่อง
is
ที่
so
เราจะพิจาร
outdated
ณากันวันนี้ค่ะ แล้วคำว่าผิดปกติ
Okay, well, go off, ally. Depending on which era you're in, and I guess we're not there yet, having a homophobic principle is not gonna fly. And maybe I'm too optimistic in saying that, because there definitely are still, you know, a bunch of educators out there that are homophobic, but like,
ฉากเนี้ยเป็นฉากไคลแม็กซ์กันด้วย
that's not
ตัว
good.
ละครเนี่ยมันยอมรับตัวเองแล้ว พวกมึงมีอะไรที่ไม่เข้าใจว่าวะ
Okay, well, I don't know why they're shaking their heads because there was no subtitles. But there is a point. Like, they're coming... When are they coming out to the world? No, they're just real actors to the world.
แค่เป็นกูที่ผ่านมา กูก็พยายามแบกทุกอย่างหนักไว้จะตายอยู่แล้วอะแต่ตอนนี้กูไม่สนใจละ กูทำไม่ได้ว่ะ ชีวิตจริงกูไม่เหมือนในหนังของพวกมึงนะเว้ย ที่ตัวละครมันจะยอมรับตัวเองได้ง่ายขนาดนั้นอะ
แล้วกูก็อยากให้มึงรักตัวเองเหมือนกัน เข้าใจใช่ไหม นี่มันเป็นเรื่องปกติ เราคือธรรมชาติที่มันไม่ได้แตกต่างจากทุกคนเลยเว้ยอะใครจะมองไงก็ช่างแม่งดิวะ อย่างน้อยอะเราแค่ปกติในสายตาเราก็พอป่าวะ
แต่กูทำไม่ได้วะ กูทำไม่ได้จริงๆ
ไอ้อะ
Maybe I did miss this. Like, Ark's internal struggle to accept himself. And I think it's a very, like, valid point and realistic take on self-acceptance in that realizing you are queer. It does happen at different paces for people. Even when you do realize, it does take a while to process and fully accept that that's the rest of your life, you know. The morning of an assumption of heterosexual you know, you got to put that aside and leave it. And so even for me, yeah, like it definitely took a while for me to fully get used to the idea, you know, that you're queer and stuff like that. So it's a bit of an emotional journey. And when people like I can just say, don't care what people think, you know, we're normal to each other. Even when you do have a boyfriend, like it's the guttural feeling of being different and ostracized and understanding that that's how it's going to be, I think it's terrifying to some extent. Like, I think it's a very instinctual animal sort of feeling as well, because being a social outcast, that's what kills you, you know, back in the pre-evolved eras. And so even me with all my bubble and kind of coming across random homophobic comments, you know, to some other people's content online, just seeing, you know, that homophobia still exists. Because of course it does. But knowing that there are people that will hate you, not having that complete safety that you felt as someone who was in the majority is... yeah, nobody wants to just struggle their life. You know what I mean? So I do like this. I do like the deep nuance it's giving the situation. I think people do have this coming out narrative that's sometimes a bit too like easy. But it also shows me that, you know, there's more to BL and you know, the evolution of BL and the path it's taking in terms of incorporating more lived experiences. Just because I when I started watching BL, I did not know, you know, how to classify this fantasy where being queer wasn't a thing. And so like, I wasn't sure if it was the culture or if it was just the genre. Not being able to say something you don't believe in. Kind of like, Yeah, even though I do think the film is a bit like unnecessary, it does kind of send the message that BL or the film project they're making, which is essentially BL, is not reflective or realistic or reality of what queer people go through. And I think that's an interesting and important message to send, because even though representation is great and it does normalize queer relationships, there is a risk in perpetuating this imagery of queer relationships that the wider audience will only believe that this is what queer people are like. And when there's so much more faceted experiences out there. So it is a bit of a complicated system and situation in how BL is being used for, queer rights in the agenda. So I don't have a conclusion or answer, but it is really asking the right questions.
โอ้โห
กูทำทุกอย่างพังหมดแล้วอะมึง
ไม่เป็นไรมึง
ทำหนังไอ้วัดพังเลยนะเว้ย
Oh, frick that film. Who cares about that film?
ไม่ใช่ตัวปัญหาอ่ะ
Oh. I want an eye. I always feel like such a mess up. I want an eye. Hug me, Calton.
ระเบียบการลงโทษนักเรียนฉบับปรับปรุงปี 48 ค่ะ
Oh, there's a new one.
ยังไงมันก็เหมือนเดิม เพราะการลงโทษนักเรียนอ้างอิงกับประกาศของคณะปฏิวัติปี 2515 อยู่แล้วนี่
You wanna
จริงค่ะ
you wanna stick by 1972? Okay. I'm sure this is saying like a bigger message in wider Thai politics.
กฎมันเปลี่ยนไปแล้วครับ ท่านผอ. ถ้าเราต้องการให้สุพโลยังคงอยู่ สุพโลต้องปรับตัวครับ
แล้วนี่อะไรอีก
ใบลาออกของผมครับ
Oh, good. Okay. Be free, Shadok. You need to be free.
ขอบคุณนะครับ
I think
สำหรับทุกอย่าง
this is really good for him. He realizes that he needs to escape this relationship, whatever this is. Please. And you need to find yourself and stand on your own 2 feet without this school situation. I only wish he did that before Tika happened. I'm not saying that they're related, but really hope Ak sees the bigger picture. Like, he shouldn't blame himself. I know he feels responsible.
ผมว่าของพวกนี้ควรจะอยู่กับอาจารย์ครับ
Holy crap. We're still on part 1. I spoke for so much of it. Like, I do wonder how Kaltung processed the whole Dika situation. Part of his grieving was trying to get revenge for his uncle, and then finding out that, well, he doesn't really blame Shadok anymore, right? Ultimately, like, I hope they know that the pre-existing kind of mental situation that Dika was in. Look, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know much about mental health, but I hope they don't internalize the guilt that much. But in the end, I just think it's just you don't know. You just don't know what could have been done to prevent that from happening. Okay, well, this is the confrontation I want to happen, I guess. Or at least, I want to know how they feel. I want to know how the Jums feel about them now.
กูขอโทษนะเว้ย ที่เคยปล่อยรถพุ่งชนพวกมึงอะ
I mean, that's pretty serious, yeah.
กับทุกสิ่งที่กูทำลงไปอ่ะ
Is that it? Is that it? I don't know what the reaction from the Jums were. It feels like, I don't know if they understood or if they're angry or indignant or... It feels like they understand and have empathy. And like, I'm just gonna read into their faces because that's what we have to do for a lot of Thai shows.
ทำเรื่องที่เลวร้ายมากๆลงไปครับ ผมไม่รู้ด้วยซ้ำว่าคนพวกนั้นจะให้อภัยผมหรือเปล่า
Oh, okay. We don't even know if the Johns forgive them yet. Oh, look at Kaltung's shiny cheekbones.
ในชีวิตเนี้ยมีคนที่เราคิดว่าสำคัญจริง
อะไรนะครับ
ๆ คนที่สำคัญที่สุดในชีวิตของเรามันคือคนที่
Yeah, you gotta speak louder, Dad. I can't hear.
ก็มีพ่อ
Why is the mic like right next to the
อาจจะทำให้
waves?
พ่อกับแม่ผิดหวังก็ได้นะครับ ผมมีอีกเรื่องหนึ่ง
ให้พ่อกับแม่ได้รับรู้ด้วยนะ
ผมชอบผู้ชาย ผมชอบผู้ชาย ผมรู้ว่าพ่อกับแม่ต้องเสียใจมากแน่
ไม่เลยลูกพ่อไม่เคยเสียใจเลยลูก เก่งมากลูกไอ้ลูกชาย ลูก
ๆ พ่อกับแม่ไม่เสียใจใช่ไหม
ไม่เลยลูกไม่เลย ลูกคือลูกของพ่อคือลูกของพวกเรา
ถ้าผมกับอักไม่ได้เป็น
Oh, you should have discussed this with Ak.
ไม่ได้เป็นแค่เพื่อนกัน
I guess they did. No? I mean, that does not look like he saw
พ่
this
อกับ
coming.
แม่จะรังเกียจผมไหมครับ
Oh my god. This is way too soon. Next, you're gonna have babies. And ruin the whole
ผ
story.
มกับอักเป็นแฟนกันครับ
you definitely did not consult Ak before this.
จริงครับพ่อ
But I guess it's working out.
ลูกพ่อรักใคร
We can't possibly.
พ่อกับแม่จะรังเกียจได้ไงลูก
Well, also, I mean, eyes loaded, so
คิดกันเยอะ
กินเยอะๆเลยอ่ะ
Right.
นี่
กินเยอะๆลูก
อะไรเนี่ยพี่จาลูกตัวเองไม่เห็นตากให้เลยตากให้แต่
แฟนลูกไง นี่แฟนลูก
แม่จัดมา
ตากให้ด้วยเลย
นี่ตักให้เยอะกว่าไออีก
I do think one of the ultimate fantasies for queer people, or I mean, like, no, I shouldn't be speaking for everybody else, but like, is to be accepted by your partner's parents. It doesn't happen for a lot of people, or everybody, or I guess in Asian communities, I don't know. It's nice, yeah.
เดี๋ยวทำให้กูกล้าขนาดเนี้ยพาอะไรอันเรื่องนะเนี่ยกูก็นึกว่าคืนนี้เราจะ
จะอะไรวะ
เปล่า
อยากจะอะไร
ไปนอนดีกว่า
อยาก
โอ้ยนอน
อยาก
หลับแล้ว
พูดมา
ไม่หลับแล้ว
อยากมึงอย่าแกล้งหลับดิ มึงบอกกูมาอยากทำไร
ไม่
อยาก
นอนก่อนกันเร็วมาเร็วนี่กอดกูไว้แน่นๆล่ะเผื่อคืนนี้มึงฝันร้าย
Not comfy having your arm there.
เหรอ
รออะไร
กูไม่ทนแล้วนะ
I
จะตื่นนะมึงอ่ะเพียเหรอ
ต่ออีกรอบไหมล่ะใครกันแน่ที่เพลีย
ตอนเด็กๆกูเคยฝันว่ากูอยากล่องเรือไปในทะเลที่แบบให้ไกลสุดขอบเลย
จริงเหรอ ไปดิ
I want to try that. But wait, what are you doing here? Like, why is the teacher here?
มึงโม้อะไรไว้เนี่ยกูแค่บอกว่าแม่มึงทำกับข้าวอร่อยมาก จริง
ลูกแม่ก็อร่อย
ฮะเบาๆหน่อย กินข้าวกันไหมยัง ยังเลยไปเข้าไปกินข้าวกัน ไปดิ
I hope the mom knows all these people are coming. Wow, she's so invested. And her students, which is lovely for a teacher, but she does not get paid for
เด็
this.
กๆเขาก็มีเรื่องเครียดๆในแบบของเขาละค่ะ ไม่ได้สบายอย่างที่พวกเราคิดกันหรอก
Oh, it's the movie. Oh, that's why she's here. To watch the movie. Wow, Watt got all of this on camera?
โรงเรียนเก่ามึงใช่ปะ
โรงเรียนควรจะเป็นพื้นที่ที่ให้พวกเราได้แสดงความคิดเห็น
Wow.
คำสามนั่นอีกแล้วเหรอวะ
คือตัวละครมันจะยอมรับตัวเองได้ง่ายขนาดนั้นน่ะ
เราแค่ปกติในสายตาเราก็พอบอกว่า
I don't know if I understood the message of the film, but I'm sure someone does.
อ้าวชน
Powen, what the hell, Powen? What is Powen doing here? In the show, in this script?
ในค่ำคืนนี้ก็อยู่พร้อมหน้าพร้อมตากันหมด
Is
แล้ว
he just playing on the calculator?
กระผมนายทองและนายถั่วปูมีเรื่องจะบอกทุกคนครับ
Oh wait, this wasn't public?
สองคนอ่ะจะคบกันแบบเปิดเผยนะ
เพราะว่าการคัมเอาท์อ่ะมันไม่ได้ต้องการแค่ความกล้าของตัวเองอย่างเดียวอ่ะแต่ว่ามันต้องมีครอบครัวแล้วก็คอมมูนที่เข้าใจแล้วก็ซัพพอร์ตด้วยพวกกูสองคนโชคดีที่มีพวกมึงเข้าใจแล้วก็ขอบคุณอาจารย์สนิทด้วยนะครับ
ถ้าไม่มีมึงอะกูไม่รู้เหมือนกันว่ากูจะผ่านมาถึงจุดนี้ได้ยังไง
คนที่ฉันจะได้พบแล้วรู้ลายเมื่อได้เจอจะถามคำนั้นใดที่ดีพอคนนั้นต้องเป็นเธอ
Powen.
แล้วแค่เนี้ยพอปะ
ยัง
Ak's no longer a prefect. And I guess she got a promotion as the new Shadok.
ที่เยาวชนของพวกหนูกำลังเปิดรับสมัครสมาชิกใหม่นะคะ มาสมัครกันได้เยอะๆเลยนะคะ มาได้เลยนะคะ มาได้เลยนะคะสแกนตรงนี้เลยนะคะ
ยินดีต้อนรับกลับโรงเรียนนะครับพี่
ดาวน์โหลดอีบุ๊กพวกหนูได้ดิ พี่อัก พี่ถั่ว
รับไปปิวพวกหนูหน่อยสิพี่
มาสมัครกันได้เยอะๆเลยนะคะ มาเลยค่ะ
ยังไงดีจะอยู่ในใจครูเสมอแหละเมื่อวานครูเจอเมธ
พี่เมฆเป็นไงบ้างครับอาจารย์ ผมเห็นว่าเขาเป็นเด็กมหาลัยแล้วน่าจะเท่น่าดูเลยนะครับ
เขาป่วยเป็นโรคซึมเศร้า ต้องดรอปเรียน1 ปี เห็นพ่อเขาบอกว่าเมธเข้ากับสังคมใหม่ไม่ได้
ทุกการต่อสู้ แม้จะเล็กน้อยแค่ไหน ที่สุดแล้วย่อมนำพาไปสู่การเปลี่ยนแปลง ในวันนี้กฎของสุพโลที่เคยยึดถือกันมากว่า100 ปี ก็มีการปรับเปลี่ยนบางข้อ เพื่อให้เข้ากับการเปลี่ยนแปลงของยุคสมัยใหม่มากขึ้น ผู้ที่ผ่านการคัดเลือก และมีคุณสมบัติเหมาะสม ที่จะมาเป็นสารวัตรนักเรียนคนใหม่
Not Powen.
นั่นก็คือนายนโมทำรงธรรม
What did he do? What did Powen even do? Like, he did
ดีด้วย
nothing.
นะ
He just got there out of sheer
ส่วนตำแหน่ง
ass kissing.
นักเรียนคนใหม่
ครูได้ไปอ่านเกร็ดประวัติศาสตร์ในเว็บไซต์
Even this teacher gets some
ก็มี
growth.
ประเด็นต่างๆที่น่าสนใจ
Wow.
ถ้านักประวัติศาสตร์คนนี้เขาเขียนบทความอะไรอีกอะส่งลิงก์ให้ครูด้วยนะ
Wow.
ครับอาจารย์
Wow. He made a difference on her. That's so good.
20 นาทีจะหมดเวลา
Things are sort of slowly shifting.
ถึงเวลาที่มึงต้องปล่อยน้ำมึงไปแล้วนะเว้ย
Oh. Does that mean, how did they get the ashes? Like, did they find the body?
ลาก่อนนะครับนะ
คราวก่อนมึงติดเข็มกัดให้กูไฟล์เดียวอะมันไม่แฟร์คราวนี้ไม่ได้กันติดนะ
Where are they going? It's 3rd of September. Is this like their prom or what's going on?
แลกแหวนแต่งงานเลย
กูขอจูบมึงได้ไหมวะ
ได้ดิ กูก็อยากจูบมือเหมือนกัน
กูรักมึงนะ
Wait,
มึงรู้ปะ
were they getting just for
โค
nothing?
ตรชอบเลยนะเว้ย ท้องฟ้าเวลาที่ไม่มีอะไรมาบังแบบเนี้ย
รู้ดิ กูก็ชอบเหมือนกัน
ชอบท้องฟ้าเหรอวะ
แต่กูชอบเวลาที่มีมึงอยู่ข้างๆกูมากกว่านะ
That must be really nice. Just chilling out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, what is all
ที่มัน
this?
เข้ามา
Are these
โลก
bloopers?
ไม่รู้
They're bloopers.
พักไหมไหมเอาไหม แค่นี้เหรอ
เออ
ขอโทษเพื่อน ขอโทษทำไมตีชูปะไม่ หนูจะนอนหน้าห้องปกครองตรงนี้ มันเย็นนะ
อร่อยเปล่า
ไม่
พี่มันบอกไม่อร่อยอ่ะ
เปล่าครับพี่ผมบอกมันไม่เสือกครับ
แต่เธอกำลังจะประกาศให้โลกทั้งโลกรู้ว่าสุพโลเลือกหัวหน้านักเรียนที่ไม่เหมาะสมมาทำหน้าที่อย่างนั้นเหรอ ไม่สมบูรณ์แบบ
Okay, so that was the end of the Eclipse. It was a great ending. I think the last 2 episodes were what the show was really about. It did drag on for me in the start. Wasn't sure what the plot was going, but it did feel very warm and fuzzy at the end. I will say I wanted a bit more for the jumps. I think it's great that they forgave First and Twa and Akentua, and they continued their protestings and activist movements. But I think I would have liked maybe like an apology from the teachers or the students or whatever. But other than that, it was good to see that in this show that change was happening and that Thani and the principal and there were new rules, and even the teacher for I, that she was starting to come around, and so getting those moments and shifts, I think are hopeful for the story. And for that universe, it's not only just Twa, like him exposing the curse, but over time, I and everybody else slowly fought for change, and like brick by brick, things started occurring in people's minds, and as a result, you know, in their actions, and their words. So I do like how we got somewhere in terms of politically just showing that it is possible for influence to happen. Yeah, and so I did get a bit of a suspension. And I know that isn't necessarily the justice that I guess people would have wanted. I think ultimately I would want to have seen the principal, I guess, realize that things were the cause of her actions, at least, or like, I don't know what the journey is for her, but yeah, like ultimately, what was really great about this episode was showing more of the acceptance and the coming out and the journey for first introducing the parents, and I guess just really knowing that he's loved, supported, and even though he did these things under the pressure of the school system, at the end of the day, there is forgiveness, understanding, and support for him. Even Shuddock, like him realizing that he needed to let go and release these traditional mindsets that he had, and everyone else did too. But we're meant to understand that a lot of it is emotional and internal, and it's hard to separate how you feel from what you know is as true and the right thing to do. And so there was a lot of that insight. But yeah, in the end, it was a different kind of deal. It was very much focused on X character journey, like as a whole. The other characters were definitely very peripheral. It felt like I was getting less and less impact throughout the show. You know, the same care that was given to Ak, I think we could have spread that a bit around more. Khan's journey didn't feel as impactful, you know, but they're still going through the same thing. I'm glad that I was, I guess, able to come to terms with what happened to his uncle, but I felt like there was a thread started there with his mother. You know, maybe she could have gotten a bit more reassurance, or like I've seen with another scene with Ark as well towards the end. I don't know. I don't know why I'm still criticized. I'm just a very critical person. I think the last thing is, it was very interesting to see how Meh needed that break from uni and not being able to conform to, you know, university. And that is just a message on like, yeah, how the school did need to change, and that it was kind of like Ark dodged a bullet almost, like in terms of, you know, it was good that he was able to release his ways of thinking at this stage. That's it from me. I don't know what else to think, but thank you anyone who's kept up with this whole reaction for all 12 episodes. Let me know what you thought about the whole series and how you found the finale. But that was an interesting journey doing this by myself. It's just like, whatever. I'll see you for the next series, whatever we do here. So thank you for supporting Femmes React. Yeah, bye. Take care of yourself.